Guess what's back? Yeah, it's the Barn Find Talon that we started basically getting it running and driving and back to at least a reliable car again. But we're going to take it further today and do a lot more stuff with it and just getting it more into finally being fully restored. Inch by inch we go. For those of you that have been watching me, you know about a year ago we did a lot of getting this running to reliability again. Well, just getting it running. It was a barn find, hadn't been started for well over 10 years, can't remember, it was probably a little longer than that. And it was pretty gross on the fuel system. You might want to see what I dealt with on that because it was pretty crude, but we got it running and driving. Just so you know what's been going on with it, I got it to the point with that little series of where it was reliable. So then what happened is the owner said, okay, let's just go drive it for a while, see what it's like, make sure he's still in love with the car after he hasn't driven it for so long, well over a decade. And if he continues to love the car, he's going to do more stuff with it, which exactly is why it's back here. So yeah, he drove it for, you know, the last, well, it was a summer car. So in the summer he drove it and he really enjoyed it, brought it back, and we're going to do some further things to it. He does plan on getting a full paint job on it. That hopefully happens next year. Won't happen obviously in this episode, but we're just going to make it that much better again until finally this thing will be fully restored. Basically today, we're going to do some little cosmetic stuff that needs to be done, some stuff that, you know, putting it back to factory. Factory stereo, in fact, is going to go in here, which will be pretty cool. It'll be the premium one of the day at that time for a 1990 model. We're gonna do the rad hoses, radiator. Might do another flush. I think I did that already, but I might do another one. And you'll see a lot of other little bits and pieces that I'm going to take care of. So make sure you watch and see how you can kind of resurrect a car and eventually make it brand new again and live that 90s theme brand new car that you've always wanted. So let's get going. So I moved the car from there to here. And just to show you how well we've got it, there are no leaks of any kind, which for those that have DSMs and Talons, Eclipses, know that's a pretty rare sight, but there is no leaks at all. So we've got that all cinched up. So like I said, we've got a very reliable car now, and basically what we want to do is some cosmetic stuff, get it back to stock looking, some changes here and there, and I think we're going to start with maybe, you know, doing that coolant and changing the hoses. So that's the new rad to replace this original one. Normally I like to keep things original, but because of its age, we want to keep that reliability. These tend to leak or crack over time, and any day that could happen, so we're going to replace that. Plus it's going to obviously change this, you know, right here to the nice black, and it'll look brand new again, and that's what we want. We're going to do a lot more to the engine bay probably later, but for now that's what we'll do. We're going to change all the coolant hoses, the heater hoses in there. There's a bunch of little ones here. You can kind of see down in there where the turbo is, and we're going to change those out as well, just to make them brand new. Got these really nice silicone hoses here that will last forever. They can handle a lot of pressure and they seal really good. So we're going to do that, and got a good trusty old good clamps there as well. So we're going to get going on that. Obviously the first thing is to drain the coolant. So I'm not going to do a coolant flush because basically the coolant that came out of it is perfect. It's totally good. I could even reuse it if I wanted to. And I did do a very good thorough coolant flush earlier a year ago when I was redoing everything anyway, so it looks like it took very well. After you drove it, I thought there might be some more residue, but it looks like it went well, so I am not going to do that. It's just basically wasting time and money if somebody's paying someone to do it. So I'm just going to start putting the hoses in. Incidentally, you have a 1990 DSM Talon Eclipse laser. You got less coolant lines to change because the engine oil cooler, is actually an air one. It's got a little radiator that's actually in the front here that does the cooling, so it's a totally different situation. It just runs the oil through there, and you don't have to run coolant through it like the later versions do. So that's why you got less to do, actually. So one good thing about the 90 quirks that it had compared to the differences of the other ones. Yeah. To get at the heater hoses, I'm going to remove this intake hose here that comes from the intercooler down here. A simple trick: when they get a little stuck, use some simple green to help loosen it up. It's kind of like an anti-seize for getting hoses off. It actually works really good, you'll see. There it comes, just like that. Yeah, so try to get this one off now. See, go easy I was. I couldn't budge that until I squirted some simple green in. It works really good. A friend of mine told me about this once and years ago, and yeah, it definitely works. So we can put that just over there. Now I can get these heater hoses. There's a few in there, including this is still stock. You still got the coolant lines coming from the throttle body. I won't explain why that's there, but a lot of cars have that, especially back then, to do with when there's cold starts, how it regulates basically the throttle speed, idle speed, etc. All right, let's get that done. Well, now it's pretty simple. We just got to transfer those fans to that, and that lower hose, basically move it over, or the new one we'll put on, and then we just put it back in. Just reverse how we're taking it off. It's that easy. Rad's in. The last test I do is pressure test, obviously, and it's been holding here for about an hour, hasn't moved, so no leaks or anything, so it's good to go. Got this part done. On to the next thing. I bet you some of you are going to remember this window was giving me problems when I was originally working on the car to go through everything. I did a few things to troubleshoot it. You can see it hasn't really done that well after sitting another year. So we got to go further and try to eliminate what's going on. So the next thing in troubleshooting this is basically we're doing a bit of a shotgun method, and we're going to replace this with regulator right here and see how it makes out. Hopefully this new regulator, yeah, it's not OEM, so hopefully it does okay, but helps it along a little bit. Maybe the motor and everything, the mechanisms just got a little bit old and, you know, tired, I guess, and then we can put that in and we're going to see if it helps out. I'm sure you guys want to know if this takes care of the problem. It'll help you guys know and how to approach it, obviously, and what maybe not to waste your money on if this doesn't work. Just testing the new one, which is actually, I found out it's used, so I don't know if it's going to be a good representation if it fixes the problem, but it does sound a little healthier. Just got to listen here. It's got no load on it though, so we'll have to maybe just put it in to test it and go from there. We will see what happens. Whee! Woo! Ooh. So to take that out, which is in here, see the motor there? No? Yeah. Yeah. Basically, this part sits in, you can see the bolts there and there, kind of sits like this. Yeah, oh, sorry, we'll do that. So to get this out, this mechanism is up here right now when the window is up. So I'm going to bring it down so I can see it in this little open hole here. And just bear with me, I'll show you here. So we're going to take it down and see how it comes down here. There it is. And I get these two bolts, which is really attaching right here, holes through the window itself. That's the window there, kind of see it. And that way I can release the window, and then I can pull the window right out actually, and then I can take these bolts out, and then I try to get it out somewhere, I think over here. Wish me luck. Hey! One regulator out. Maybe I'll test this for this comparison while we're at it. Let's do it. I think what I'm going to do is I just tested the new used one. That makes sense? Or the used one that's newer? I don't know. The used one. That's the replacement. I just tested it. I don't know if I'll have some video on that, but I basically tried stopping it with my hand, and it was pretty easy to do. And the other one, I actually had a lot more trouble stopping it. So the original one I'm leaving in. That's not the problem. Something when I was pulling the window out though, I noticed, it's really hard to move up and down on the seals. I think they're just basically turned into hockey pucks. Rubber does that sometimes. I'm going to remove it and see what I can do. I don't know if I can help it along or not. Maybe rejuvenate it somehow. I'm going to try. No guarantees, but since I got it this far, I'm going to give it a go and see how I can do something anyway.
So high, I'm hypnotized.
I am going to clean this up since I got it out now with Simple Green and just see if that helps rejuvenate it a little bit. I might have some Rubber Renew, it's called. I can't remember if I got any, but I might try that to soften this rubber up. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but I'll see if I can find that. Yeah, there it is. I've used this. I used to use this actually on the little capstan rollers on cassette players and VCRs, actually. For those of you that might remember what they are, but they were a little rubber wheel that compressed against a pin, and it rolled basically, and then the tape from the cassette or video would run in between it, and that's actually how it ran the tape through. Anyway, I've used it on cars, and it's on any rubber pieces, and it does rejuvenate. I'm running a little low, and I might have enough, because it's this piece here that I think that I'm going to try and redo a little bit to see if it softens it up, because it does actually help a little bit. So as I'm cleaning the seal up, I also wanted to point out where some of it sits in. Just try to corner that in here. See how much rust is in there? That could be squeezing the rubber gasket seal somewhat too in there. So I think we need to clean that up. That could be part of the issue that's going on as well. So we're going to take that out and remove that and clean that up. And to remove that, there's a couple bolts here, I think, and that should be it if I remember right here, how this kind of clips in there, down in there, you can see it. So let's get that out and clean that up and see if that helps. Okay, I just took those bolts out. You can see how it's kind of loose in there now, how it pulls up there, and we should be able to remove this now. Okay, I had to pry it out a bit, but it's out now. Take it out. Okay, better look at it of how much rust is in there that's caused it to probably heave a little bit. So like I said, we're going to clean that up probably with just a wire wheel. I don't need to sandblast it, but we'll clean it up and put it back in. So when you clamp this, make sure you don't clamp it and shrink this, because you don't want to make this even tighter for the window to slide up and down. So let's be careful when we do that. Let's go. All right, so you can see that it's better. Ideally, I'd sandblast this and coat it again or something with something, but I've got it kind of cleaned up that it's not going to crimp the seal, and I think this will suffice. I'll probably put a little bit of a layer of maybe some little bit of lithium grease or something in there, and the reason is that I just don't want it to rust anymore, and that'll help protect it. So I'll do that as well. All right, something I checked out is I'm going to put this in now that everything's cleaned up. And then I'm going to test how much friction there is right here. And I think this is probably where it's binding. If I do this, I can feel it kind of right there, it binds. And I think it's just because over time the rubber and the glass is a little bit, you probably could do a polish as well to help smooth that out. And I think it just binds, and that, along with a weaker motor probably, it just has a little more trouble sliding up and down on this, because maybe you can kind of tell how I'm feeling it out, but it's a little bit of a, you know, tension there, I guess. So I'm gonna maybe try to rejuvenate that rubber a little bit and see if that helps. I don't think it's going to, and I might have to go back to the grease thing that I was doing earlier and see how that works out. Let's add a little bit of silicone lubricant I got here, silicone lube. Put that in. And just show you how much that probably does make a difference. You'll see here. I already tried a little bit anyway, but I know. So look at how easier that is now working. Now I'm going to let it dry, because this is a dry lubricant. Once it dries, it's supposed to still be lubricant, or loose. So let's see if that helps after we dry it. Also, I got this all cleaned up now. So we cleaned all that out. I'm going to rejuvenate this a little bit as well. There's a little piece here, plastic piece that kind of fits in here, how it all kind of fits together. I don't know if you can kind of tell, but you got to take this out to clean it, and then pop it back in here. And these little protrusions here go through here, and then you pop it back in, and it should be well, not like new, but closer to new than it was. We'll find out if this helped at all. But I'm trying everything right now because you can't get the window regulators anymore, you can't get the rubber moldings, so you do what you can to try and get things to work, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I think it's fixed. Watch this. All right, I'm pretty happy this is fixed. I've had this problem on many of these particular cars, these DSMs, and I can tell you this is the first time I feel it's legitimately fixed. It's It's the first time that I took it completely apart and dissected to see what was going on with it. And I think I know how to fix it now. Finally, after a few years of dealing with this and trying to make it better with a few things that I've showed you in the past, but I think I got this licked. So let's review now what I've done. So you've seen that I tried to replace the regulator. The used one that we got was worse than this one, so I put the other one back in. I did nothing else with that. Then I took it apart, and I basically took out the weather stripping gasket here, along here, and I cleaned it up. I did some rejuvenation on it as well. And then this piece, when I took it out here, hopefully you can see in there, this guy, well, I took this whole piece out, the metal piece. It was rusted, as you've seen. Took that out. I also tried to make it a little bit wider in here. I used a bit of a wide screwdriver, basically, and I pried it open a little bit evenly along the way, just a little bit to open it up a little bit so it didn't rub in there, because when I tested it. And then I used silicone lube in there, and I also sprayed some in the tracks in here. I'll just show you that. Oh man, this works great. And then I sprayed it in there, like I've done before, but after cleaning everything out, getting all the dirt out of there, because there was some dirt in there as well as behind it. It might have been trying to actually compress this thinner because the grime got in there. And I'm very happy how fast this goes up and down now. So yeah, this is just pretty much like brand new to me. I'm very happy with this. Yeah, I want to say good job Slipping Time on this one, because this is something I just have never got right into to figure out what was going on. But now this is fixed, and for all those that want to fix this, because I know a lot of you have this problem, this is how you can tackle it. Go for it. So what is next is that vintage aftermarket stereo there is going to go away, because this is going to be going back to all stock, this car, in every way it can. So we are going to put the Supreme 1990 system in, including the amp that we were able to dig up and put pieces together to get it right. This is the premium one in the day, and we're going to put that in. I've tested this. I know it works, but we've got a bit of wiring to do. So yeah, we will get that in, and we will basically have some old stock sounding system in there that maybe we'll have to put something up from 1990. I have lots of stuff from that time of my life basically still left. I still listen to. I'm going to say some of it was hairband stuff. I'm also going to say that perhaps around that time I did have longer hair, but didn't we all? So something I don't have is the brackets for this amplifier that make it fit in here. They fit in like so. Yeah, I got that right. So something in like that. You can see the holes right there. So I've got to make some type of bracket. I'm not going to do anything too sophisticated, but I'll show you what I'm going to do just to get it to fit in there, just like it's made to fit without the stock bracket. So don't tell anybody I'm doing this, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. Rather than fabricate an entire metal bracket, I'm going to use this stuff. It'll work for what I need. It'll secure it pretty good. So I'm going to basically tie into here like this to make a bracket, and then these holes will go into those other. I'll bolt them up actually. You'll see when I'm done what it looks like, but I'm going to bolt them in, and it'll be secure and good, and no one sees it, and it'll hold just as good as any bracket can. So let's get to work on that. Look at that, almost factory finish. Solid as a rock, went in real good. Just used some 6mm bolts there, and yeah, it is not going anywhere. Like I said, looks like it's factory installed, and it kind of is in somewhat way. All right, let's clean up this mess next. Getting pretty cleaned up, isn't it? So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the proper way of doing this. So a lot of you are probably using butt connectors, which is, I'm going to say, the third best way, if it is a best way. I don't really like them. I like to see solder. Some of you are having those, I can't remember what they're called, but they're basically a built-in solder kind of heat shrink thing that you put around, and the solder melts in when you heat shrink. I don't think that's still the best because I don't know how the solder, guaranteed the solder isn't going to be a cold solder joint to get hot enough and heat all the wires up. So I don't like those actually, and I still think the best way to do it, in fact I know the best way to do it, is to solder these wires and then put heat shrink on them. It's the best way to do it, and you won't have any trouble down the road. Everything's taken care of, and you can see your work when you solder it as opposed to those other ones. So yeah, I think what you need to do is this way always. Otherwise, you may get into trouble, and you do not want that. So let's finish this up and show you when it's finally put together. Oh, also I got a little mat here that I put over this amp because I'm cutting wires, solder can spatter, and because there's little holes in there, you never know, something could fall in and short something out in that amplifier. So make sure you cover stuff up in case debris falls. Important. There's definitely something to say about seeing the original stock radio in an old car. This car is now 31 years old right now, and we got the original 1990 system in, premium system. And just look at this thing. So the radio is working. I forgot that this is actually an automatic little cassette thing that goes in. Goes in fine. We can play our little CD here if you want. Stop that because we copyright there, but it's pretty neat. Another thing I did, because I'm just going to shut this off. I used, you've seen what I used for actually mounting the amp, and it actually grounds out on those screws. And because that actually has a plastic coating on, little support I did, it was grounding out must have cut enough of it to ground out, but I wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any trouble in the future, so I did a little separate ground right to the amp here, onto the car itself, on the chassis, basically the body that this goes to. So those are ground points. See? Yeah. Anyway, did that just for extra insurance, but this is working great. We're gonna rock out. Next, this was the original console top with the shifter and that, and it's a little weathered, so I'm cleaning this one up that we got here to put a better one in. But something that, I don't know if you can see it, but this is kind of washed out for some reason, this lid. So I'm taking, even though it's got a scratch in it, it looks better, this one, and replacing it. So pretty basic. Got a little pin here I've already knocked out for the spring, and then you can take this door panel off and put this one back in. Hey, we managed to get a hatch seal. They typically go right here. You can kind of see here, I'm sure, where I can get through my finger through there. So this one is in pretty good shape. Very impossible to find, but we found one. Let's get that installed. Here's some satisfaction. We have some new clutch and brake pedal pads here. You can see how that's worn down there. This one isn't too bad, but since they're both here, let's replace them. Amazingly, you can still get this part. I'm guessing it crosses with other cars. That's why it's still available. And bam, brand new. This might look familiar to a few people that have this cup holder. These little tabs usually break off, usually on one side. So what I like to do, so they don't look like they're broken, I'll match that side to that side and do a nice little finish here. Show you what I'm going to do here. Basically, I'm going to file it off, but let's get to it. There it is. Now it doesn't look broken anymore, even though those tabs are gone. It fits fine though when you do that, because it just sits in like this. Yeah, could cover those holes a bit, but looks a lot better. Done. Incidentally, how many people have these left? Most of them are gone. At least one is anyway. They break off, and these are pretty hard to get to, but this has them. going to replace the fuel cap just because those little tabs broken on the one that's on it. Little trivia, 1990. Guess what color the gas caps were? Stock. If you guessed gray, you are correct. They all came with gray in 90. Not sure when the black ones actually came, but they came a little later in later years. But 90 had the gray cap for whatever reason. They say the same thing. Remove slowly. The removes on here is kind of gone right now, but yeah, we're going to replace that. Incidentally, you can actually just replace this little hanger here. I was calling it a tab, but anyway, you can replace this little hanger here, and it does come apart. I've had these apart just to do that, because you can, I have found these from just other vehicles, rather than trying to find a whole new gas cap for this, that fits. Sometimes the gas cap that you get from another vehicle fits too, but yeah, you can replace these. You don't have to replace the whole cap if you find one of these that isn't broke like this one. Next, little hood seal. That's this guy. I'm going to replace because it was kind of tattered up. And how you replace them, you don't have to pull these actually out and get new clips, because that's usually where they tear, is these holes actually tear right there. You can just, I'm going to do it right, but you can basically, I'll kind of show you here, is trying to do this one hand, is you just kind of do this. There. You see how it's actually all way it should be? So it's just basically doing that. To take it off, you can do the same thing, and there it's off. So let's get it on. See anything missing up here? Yeah, you guessed right. There's one there. There's one missing. So we happen to have a couple here. They're in okay shape. We're gonna replace that. So I have a new light to replace this damaged one. You can kind of see it's cracked right there. And, oh, it's got some cracks there too. And I wish I could get a new one of this, but that's not too bad. So I'm going to try and polish these as well, since I'm going to have them out, and make them look like maybe this guy. I don't know if they'll look this good. These are pretty nice. They're like brand new pretty much. Bam! Yeah, the light's actually cleaned up really good. Unfortunately, there's enough pits and there's a bit of a chip in that one there that I couldn't get out. But overall, they shined up pretty good. They cleaned up. They'll shine better on the road as well, and they'll look better. Definitely when it's driving and the rest of it gets painted now. But ideally, if you're going to restore this and paint it, you'd want to get brand new ones. But you can't get brand new ones, so you do what you can. And eventually maybe the owner will find some that are almost brand new and have less little pits and a rock chip like that one. He did find this side marker that I changed out, and it's actually pretty cherry. So yeah, maybe you'll find the rest as well. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode. Did a few things that needed to be done before it gets painted. That's the next thing that's going to happen with this. Hopefully, unlike my Lotus that I'm trying to get painted, this can get painted maybe a little faster than that with the timeline. Yeah, if you haven't been following that, I've been waiting almost 2 years to get my Lotus Esprit painted. Bit of a story behind why, but basically everyone's too busy. The good painters are. So the next time we see this, I hope it's all painted up, and then we can take it up to another level after that. So thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe if you like this sort of thing. Share, do the bell, all that sort of thing. That would be awesome if you could do that. And until the next time, enjoy every day and always make it right.